Thanks for coming, everybody. This is our first wonderful Wednesday of the new semester. And the introduction of our speaker, I'm going to turn over to Professor Cameron Lawson, who knows her really well. I'll introduce her, so I'll let you do that. Oh, Megan. So I'm just going to tell what is a brief quintessential Brevard College story. Megan Hutton transferred, I think it was the spring of 2005.
Yep.
I first met Megan when she was in my BCE 111 class, and with the first paper handed in, I think back in whatever email system we had, and I flagged it, a little red flag or gold star or whatever it was. And I gave her a copy of that first paper 3.5 years later when I hooded her during commencement weekend, which was an honor. Over the time of getting to know Megan here, it was, like I said, it's just this quintessential Brevard College story. Had her in class. She was then in one of my IT classes. IT classes, stellar work. She was one of the first young adults that we actually left in our home alone with our 6-year-old child. So Megan was one of our first babysitters that wasn't related by blood or marriage. And just this constant keeping up with, I'm not afraid to say it, a favorite student and a favorite young lady of the college. And it continues today. Here we are in 2016. I get to stand in front of you all and tell you how awesome I think she is. One of the greatest things about Megan is she's always had very clear goals. Now, her goals commonly and often change, but they're always clear. They're clear to her. And I was so excited when I saw last semester when she was going to speak, and I just wasn't able to come. Luckily, it was rescheduled. To see what she was going to speak about in this paradigm shift of going from a very successful career in the corporate sector with environmental management and really just having this paradigm shift for her and her small family to just say, here are the things that are important and here's how I'm going to do that. So I'm just as excited as you all are to hear about her new goals because it's been too long since we caught up. But without further ado, one of my favorites, Megan.
Thank you, Cameron.
Likewise.
Hi, guys. That's no pressure at all. My name's Megan Hutton, Hopkins, something or another. There was a marriage and divorce around there, so you'll see lots of different last names. I don't know what I go by today, but you can call me either, and I will turn my head for sure. Thank you guys for having me. I am an alumni of the college. Graduated in 2008 from Brevard College. So when I was asked to come, I don't know if from what I gather, they don't normally give folks a clear topic to talk about on these wonderful Wednesdays. So it's kind of up to us to kind of figure out what we're going to say to past professors or current students of the college. And when I was asked to come, I kind of had been going through kind of what Cameron was mentioning, a big paradigm shift in kind of my life and my goals and what I was going to do. So I thought that maybe I would come and talk about what led me to make those decisions and then how Brevard played a really big role in me having courage to kind of take those jumps and go after things, go after my goals as often as they change or not. So first I want to kind of just start off with is why Brevard. So I always think it's interesting to ask people, like, how did you get here? This is a really small town in western North Carolina, and I feel like very commonly people have interesting stories of how they got here or decided to come to this really small private school in Vermont. So for me personally, I grew up in Florida, but every summer I was lucky enough to attend summer camp in Cedar Mountain, North Carolina, just up the road, up 276. And as a camper there, I spent summers, 11 summers up here in Cedar Mountain. And there was a counselor of mine. He actually bartends at Jordan Street. His name's Oatmeal, for any of you who know him. But he was actually my... That's
not his name.
Well, okay, yes, that's not his name. His name's Will. But you might know him as Oatmeal. He was actually my backpacking instructor at camp. And he had a lot of insight for me during my one summer there, and had mentioned that he was in the Wilderness Leadership Program here at Brevard College and was interested in that. And that always just kind of stuck with me, his personality, what he loved to do, along with my passion for the outdoors and being in the mountains. I knew when I graduated school in Florida that this is where I wanted to be. I made the choice to go to a community college in Orlando for a semester, and then that really sealed the deal that I needed to get back up to these mountains. So that's kind of how I came to Brevard. I always think it's a neat, kind of interesting story. So kind of as I mentioned, I started school here in 2005, spring of 2005, and graduated in 2008 with a Bachelor's of Arts in Environmental Studies. So proof. So right after I graduated, I ran right into my career. As Cameron mentioned, I have always been very strong-willed, strong-headed, and kind of knew what I wanted and when I wanted it, and I was going to go full speed ahead to get that. So right after I finished school, I landed an internship in environmental health and safety with a manufacturing company in South Carolina, and worked with them for a year. Then jumped over to the Grove Park and was a manager there, but knew that I wanted to get back into environmental health and safety, but I couldn't commute. I was commuting to South Carolina for a long period of time. So that job at Grove Park led me over to Borg-Warner here in Arden, where I was an environmental health and safety coordinator, ensuring compliance with environmental laws and safety OSHA regulations. So that was kind of my main role, but all of that kind of in the manufacturing industry. I worked at Borg-Warner for 3 years, and then I got a little antsy. I had these goals, these places, these marks that I wanted to meet, and I wasn't getting there in my current position. I had an opportunity to go out west and make the money that I really passionately wanted to make in a position that had more responsibility and more seniority. So I left the environmental health and safety industry and went to work in insurance as a manager doing environmental insurance. And I got to live in Colorado, which was awesome. So I picked up everything and went out west for a big paycheck and maybe the next step in my career. And I don't know, I think maybe we all have dreams of going out west and exploring and big mountains and skiing and seeing a big vast part of the country that maybe we didn't grow up experiencing. So I got out there and I had this big job making a lot of money. I made 6 figures in 6 years, which was pretty cool. I reached the goal. You know, I think I'd always said as I was climbing that ladder, like when I make those 6 figures, like everything's just gonna be, it's gonna be good. You know, you make 6 figures, you're gonna have this big savings account, and I'm gonna be able to take care of I have a 6-year-old son. I'm gonna be able to take care of my family, and I'm gonna be able to provide for him, and then I'll be able to take like these big trips and like adventures, and I'll have the money that I need in order to make that happen. So I went out there, and I'm not sure that that's exactly how it all kind of came together. I was making a lot of money, but I was also working a lot. And then I was also spending a lot to live there and to put my son in care, because when you work at a big corporation in a big leadership position, they want a lot of your time. And so I guess that's kind of when I started to stop and think, what's going on here? I've done everything, I've met these goals, but what I thought was kind of coming from that isn't happening. So my level of happiness, this security from a big paycheck, it wasn't really there. So I started to think, you know, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep up this grind? Definitely opportunity for growth in this company, lots more money to be made in this industry. But I felt kind of this pool that I wanted to be happy. So I made some changes. We'll get into that. But after I graduated, I got married and started a family. And as I was talking about, I kind of climbed that corporate ladder and was I feel pretty successful attaining those goals that I had set out for myself. And of course, I started to question that success once I got to kind of that climax, that pivotal moment when I thought that everything was going to be good to go. I was going to be secure and happy. So I got in that place, and I was trying to figure out in my head, well, I got what I thought we were all reaching for, right? We go to college, we get that degree, we get in a career, and we get where we want to go so that we get this money and this security and this happiness. But that wasn't happening for me personally. So I had the money and I had the career, and I was definitely felt like I was successful by the way that we define success, at least in my circles. But I wasn't really able to travel, and I wasn't really getting to spend a whole lot of time with my family. And I'm not sure that my happiness level was where I really wanted it. And I think that when we come to these points in our life, which all of us do at some point, it's good to kind of sit back and evaluate, well, what can I do now? I think that my experience here in my 3.5 years going to college here, the people I met, the experiences that I had, the opportunities I had or the opportunities I lost, taught me a lot about how to kind of work through this issue that was in my head at the time. I had to realize that finding balance was going to be a journey, and I was going to have to try some different things than I had been doing before. I was kind of had my blinders on and was moving forward full speed ahead. And I knew that I kind of had to stop and look around for a moment. So what have I learned so far? So those things that I've learned from the college, from my time here, and through my time after college too, is make friends. I know that sounds really dumb. Something maybe your kindergarten teacher told you when you were 5, but make friends. Make friends everywhere. You can make friends in a coffee shop, at school, in your job, but make lots of friends. Find your passion. Figure out what makes you happy. And jump off that cliff and take risks. So make friends. It's kind of that simple. Relationships can be vital to unlocking doors, providing opportunity, providing support, providing a friend of a friend of a friend who has a job or who has a connection who can help you through something. Make friends. Cameron Austin. So Cameron has Mr. Austin, Professor Rob. I don't know what you guys would call him. I'm going to call him Cameron because I think we're on first name basis at this point. Cameron has been one of those relationships in my life since 2005. Been a real rock solid person that I could count on for lots of things. I have a paper coming up. I need you to look at it. I need money. Can I watch your children? Can I clean your house? I'm going for a big job. Can you help me with this interview? I need a reference. I'm having a really bad day. Can I come talk to you? And in all those ways, I'm not going to get upset, I promise. Helped open doors for me, helped me be successful in attaining those goals that I put out for myself. As well as been a friend to support me in times when things get really tough and help push you along or help you kind of dig through the dirt. And I appreciate him here. And creating relationships is a two-way thing. And so had I not reached out to my professor, had I not cared about my class, had I not put myself into what I was doing, I may have never made that relationship. So see every opportunity, every professor that you may have for school, the gentleman you're standing in front of at the coffee shop. These are all opportunities to create relationships and networks that you really never have any understanding of how that's going to help you in the future. Getting business cards from somebody that you sat next to at the coffee shop, and then a year later, finding that business card, emailing them, and getting a lead on a job. I mean, these things happen all the time. So genuinely put yourself out there and create relationships everywhere you go, because there's always some kind of benefit to that. Another story about making friends. So my best friend in high school is Katrina. She's lived across the other side of the country from me since I was in high school. So gosh, that's been 11 years ago now, 12 years ago. But I needed this job. So I was at Borg Warner here, and like I was saying, I wasn't getting to that next level. Been there for 3 years, and I was ready to get to this next position, and I needed to make more money because that's just what was driving me at the time. And I called up a friend and I said, what can I do? What can I do? And she happened to have gotten into environmental insurance somehow. And I had the perfect background for an opening in her department. And, you know, through those networks, through those relationships, I was given the opportunity to move out there, get in a position where I learned what I needed to learn, as well as make a ton of money and take that next step in my career. So it's interesting how like high school friends or professors or lots of people in your life can help kind of put those pieces together. One more person, my current boss is Wes Dixon, who works at Sycamore Cycles, which is where I'm now employed. And I literally met Wes a few times when I was in college. He was the owner of the bike shop, and I raced for the college in their inaugural mountain bike team the first year, and Sycamore helped sponsor the team at that time. And so I had made this connection then and had known him through some friends and relationships. But this turned out to be kind of the way that I can move back home and do something that I love. So through yet another relationship that kind of built over the years in small interactions, I was able to give him a call when I decided I knew what I wanted to do and I was ready to take a jump and leave the corporate world. And I love bikes. Bikes are my passion. And I gave a friend a call, and he happened to have an opening. And it's funny how these relationships just always seem to work out at the right time. So again, I can't drive this home enough. Make friends everywhere you go and keep their numbers and keep in contact, because these things happen. I think throughout your life, you're going to need friends and contacts and networking. And they'll provide lots of opportunities and support for you as you go. Okay, so make friends, right? And then find passion. That's never really been hard for me. When I'm in all the way, right? So when I want to climb the ladder, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. When I play soccer, I played soccer here for 3 years. That was a huge passion for me. And now that I ride bikes, that is a massive passion for me. I'm a mother. Family is really, really important. So some of you may or may not have those things, but find a passion, and whether that's reading or art or hiking or I don't know. We all have things that kind of make us tick or fuel us. But I think it's really important to find something that kind of lights that fire in you. Life can be really short. Life can be really long, but we don't really know. And so kind of make the best of what we have here and now. So if you find something that makes you happy, do it, and do it all the time, and don't let anything else get in the way. So as a lot of students, I was here the other day on campus and asking people, so what's your major? And there were a lot of I don't know what my major is, and I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I don't know where I'm going. And I think that's a really common theme for college students, and I think just for people in general, that's a common theme. We never really know truly what we want. But find something that you love and find a passion. And I did that when choosing my major. So I originally came here as a wilderness leadership student because I knew I loved the outdoors and I wanted to work with youth. But as I got into the program, I just knew that this wasn't for me and where I was and the goals that I was setting for myself. So I changed my major to something that I thought was going to make me money and be good. And within the first semester, I was not passing any of my classes because I didn't really want to do that. And so finally, I just came to terms with I'm going to study what I love and what I like, which is the environment. And so I got into environmental studies, and all of a sudden, things became easy and enjoyable. And so not only was I happy and studying something that I love and actually enjoying my time spent in classes and writing papers, but I was also getting success out of that too. So when you can find something that you're passionate about that fuels you, sometimes it goes hand in hand with being successful. Again, so Sycamore Cycles. And I'll kind of touch back on this a little bit, so I had these goals. I was running full speed ahead, and I feel like I was really successful in attaining all of those goals. And then I had this kind of, well, I got there, but what now? I'm not really feeling happy. And for someone who has a family, I have a 6-year-old who I need to care for. Making money seemed really vitally important to me because he needs to be fed and clothed, and he needs to have his needs met, and I need to continue to chase this career. But I wasn't happy. And so for someone who is very focused and spent 6 years of my life chasing a goal, to let go of that and to kind of turn at a 90-degree angle and make a big change was really scary. And but I knew that I needed to do something that I was passionate about. And riding bikes has brought a lot of happiness to my life. My son and I ride bikes together, and it's just it's been something that's changed my life. And until you've done a sport or found something that you love, I think you know what I'm talking about. When you're an artist and you paint, you bring happiness and joy to yourself. When you're an athlete and you do those things, it brings joy to yourself. So I knew that Sycamore Cycles was going to give me that happiness, be able to do stuff, share my passion for biking and being outdoors with people, and also getting paid for it. A good way to spend my days. So sometimes our passions change, sometimes our goals change, right? So make sure that you're reevaluating that. And sometimes when we find our passions and we go after them, we go into it so full-heartedly that sometimes we burn out, or injuries happen, or whatever it might be. These things can change, so always be ready to kind of reevaluate. So make a lot of friends, because that's always going to help you be successful. Find something you're really passionate about, and make sure you can incorporate that into your daily life. If it's not in your job, it's not in your job, but make sure that every day you're able to kind of enjoy, embrace, experience whatever it is that fuels you or makes you happy. And then that third thing is taking risks. So I'm in Denver, and I'm balancing these things. I know what I'm passionate about. I know that it's biking. I know that it's being outdoors. I know that it's having the ability to have more time with my family. And I know that it's not having the stress to make lots and lots of money all the time. So 8 months ago, I decided to jump ship. And everything I'd been working for about 10 years, I put a hold on it. And I left my job. And a week later came back here, which was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. Because all of us have been probably hammered in our heads that our resumes are really important. When there's gaps in your resumes, it's really hard to explain that in an interview. And I just kept being, a lot of stress and anxiety about what a future employer might think if I had a gap in my resume, or what my current employer might think if someone calls them as a reference, right? So if I leave this job that I just fought so hard to get, paying the money that I wanted, what's on the other side? If I jump ship and go do something that I love for a lot less money, working a lot less hours, will I ever be able to change my mind after I leave? And there was a lot of pressure that maybe I wouldn't be able to. I've since talked to myself, and I think that I could definitely get back in the industry if I wanted to, and make lots of money if I wanted to. But I decided it was time to take probably the biggest risk for me ever. Because when your whole life has been driven towards one goal, and all of a sudden you jump ship, it can be kind of scary. So yeah, I left a job where I was making lots of money. I was making, at my age, that's crazy. I was making a lot of money. And I left it for an hourly job where I got paid to ride bikes with people and talk to people about what kind of bike they should buy. But I am probably the happiest I've ever been. I'm happier now than I was in college, than I was for 6 years making lots of money. I get to spend more time with my son than I ever have. I get to go home and there's no stress. And I love what I do every day. When people come in, they're like, where do you get this energy? Like, you're just so passionate and energized. When people come into the shop and they've never been on a bike before, but they really want to get into the sport, it's exciting to me. And not only because I have fun riding a bike, but because the sport of bike riding the experience has brought a lot of joy and perspective to my life, and I think that it does for a lot of people who get into mountain biking as well. And I get to share that now. So I guess what I would say about taking risks is if there's a pool, if there's something in you saying, I think I want to try this, go for it. Take that jump. And you might not always know what's going to happen tomorrow or next year, or will I have enough money? All those questions, oftentimes if we just start walking forward, kind of answer themselves. I have enough money to feed myself and feed my child, and we have a house, and all my needs are met, and I'm happy to. So make sure that you're making friends with people, you're finding something you're passionate about, and that you're allowing yourself to take risks, to do scary things in order to make sure that your happiness and your success is what you want to make it. So being at the college, sometimes I've had this question in interviews a lot. Like, I tell them where I went to school, and they want to know why in the world I chose to go to a really small private school. And I think part of that is in like the liberal arts education, which was the fact that I got to study a whole lot of different things. I wasn't just focused on environmental classes. I got to take music classes and law classes and all sorts of classes that helped me be well-rounded and helped me take a little bit of risk too. Because when you jump into something that you don't know, it's scary. But the more that you do that, the more you can trust yourself and know that I have the skills to navigate this, even if it's new, even if it's scary. I'm intelligent enough to figure this out. And if I keep moving forward, it's going to be successful and positive. Thank you, guys. So make sure that in life we're always surrounding ourselves with good people. So make those relationships, they're going to pay off. Whether they're in job opportunities, in support during rough times, or just having connections who have other connections who offer resources that you may need. Make sure that you're constantly fueling that fire of your own happiness. Life can be really short, and it's important not to get too caught up in our goals, and make sure that we're enjoying every day, and that what we get to be passionate about, we're enjoying that. And then go after what you want, even if it's scary, even if you feel like the world's falling in. Jump off the cliff, because oftentimes you're going to be able to figure it out, and you're going to be stronger, more confident in the future if you do. I'm extremely grateful for the experiences I've had here at the college, the relationships I've made, and the lessons I've learned through failure and through success. I think it's helped me be able to get to where I am, and certainly helped me kind of take the plunge I did last year and ultimately be a happier, I think, more successful person. And we won't ever have it all figured out, and that's quite okay. Thanks, guys.